and welcome to my channel Foxey Sunrise. Today's pick a card reading is going to be about the subconscious side, the shadow side, or the dark side of you in a relationship. So for some of you who are spiritual or who are really into Jungian psychology, I'm sure you've heard of the shadow side. When I say dark, I don't necessarily mean negative, but we'll see what comes up in the piles. Whoever is unfamiliar with some of those terms, I also threw in the word subconscious just so there was more clarity there. So this is the subconscious side of you whenever you're in a relationship. So I have 3 piles. All the timestamps will be in the description box down below, as well as a birth chart calculator if I mention any astrology signs. So I have group 1 is integrity, group 2 dream, and group 3 is depth. Okay, and I will see you at your group. Hey group 1, if you chose integrity, this is your reading about the subconscious side of you in a relationship. Every reading I kind of want to do differently. Sometimes I'll tap into the top card, but today I kind of just want to look at everything and see what comes up so that I can get everything out at once, because sometimes I ramble, so I just want to see how that goes. And then I'll draw some tarot cards at the end. Okay. Integrity. So we have Saturn here. We have beauty and resilience. We have the mirror. We have mania. And we have Boujee, inner strength. This group feels like the kind of person who I'm getting a phrase like making a crumb seem like a whole meal, or a crumb seem as though it's a pot of gold. There's a lot of imagery here of strength. I'm also being drawn to the integrity card. So I think for some of you, you're able to really tolerate a lot of things when it comes to your relationships. So this may be a boundary issue, this may be a cause for a boundary issue, maybe you see the good in a lot of people, maybe subconsciously you realize you're a light holder for a lot of people in your relationships, and you carry a lot of baggage from other people, and I mean, it's given you the skill of resilience, but it's almost like that strength has been directed externally when it should be directed internally. And so here we see Boujee, inner strength. Move back to wholeness. Recognize that you have the power. So maybe you're giving your power away to external things. I also am wondering if some of you are workaholics. So maybe you don't set good boundaries with your work relationship as well. So maybe you overwork yourself because you feel like that's where your value is seen. So I want to get quiet so I don't get distracted and pull some tarot cards and see what comes up. Okay. This group has a lot of energy. A lot of energy to give. Oh wow, they're flying out. Yeah, there's oh gosh. Okay. Okay, yeah, so when it comes to, okay. When it comes to setting boundaries, there's a lot to be said right now. Okay, when it comes to setting boundaries, there's either a resentment being held, a bitterness that's held because of the way that you did not speak up for yourself when it came to being in groups with people, whether it was at work or with your friend group, or maybe even, I'm almost getting taken back to like childhood. Maybe your voice was taken away at a certain point, or you weren't recognized for your expression unless it was unless it was connected to helping another person. With this mirror card here, this feels like a type of person who, and the sun card in reverse, a type of person, there's a lot of them. Okay, we have 21 and 21, interesting. And then we also have 21 depicted here with the Saturn card, which is ruled by the world, which rules the world card in the tarot. But there's a need to complete this cycle, to end this cycle of losing yourself in your relationships, whether it's losing yourself at work, giving so much of yourself to other people, because with this mirror card here, it says know thyself, self-examination, seeing who you really are. There is an encouragement to move towards solitude or being solo, to really tap into the beauty that is you, to tap into your light. We have a 20 card here in reverse, and we also have the beauty card, which is 20 here. So tapping back into your light, recharging yourself, seeing the value that is meant to be cultivated, your self-worth that is meant to be tapped into and looked at. Because I see a lot of disappointment here with the way that you've been overcompensating because of maybe a lack of self-worth, overcompensating, carrying a load that isn't yours, breaking your back. This can't continue. And so again, being brought back to this light, to this integrity card. When I think of integrity, and I also think of light. Oh wow, okay. So when I think of light, I think of frequency or waves. And these concepts, these ideas, again, all of these words that I'm using, words, they're associated with the air element, which is connected to expression, speaking up, the throat chakra, your truth, being rooted in who you are through setting boundaries. And setting boundaries can happen through either taking your energy back by not showing up to something, taking time off. So again, like not showing up to work instead of picking up more hours. But this integrity card emphasizes a need to speak up, to find your voice, to express yourself, to use your words, to set boundaries, to be honest about what you can and cannot do, instead of appeasing people as a way of appearing not beautiful, but appearing the way that is appealing. Maybe you feel that if you say yes all the time, if you make yourself accommodating, that it's more appealing to other people, when what you really need is to say no, is to set boundaries, is to mature in your sense of expression. Here with the Saturn card, we have an older figure here, which Saturn is connected to symbolically time, learning things with time. So maybe in your birth chart, you may have Saturn in an air sign, or Saturn in Taurus, or Saturn in your third house. What are the third house? Maybe the 11th house, but I feel more the third house, maybe the second house And I feel like I'm missing the third house and the second house. That's the only thing that's coming up right now. I might remember the other one. But the third house, the second house, or Saturn in an air sign. Gemini, Taurus, which is an earth sign. But it has to do with self-worth and value. And then the air signs, because they have a lot to do with expression, communication. Let's see. Let me see what mania is. But I see you have a lot of just fresh energy, a lot of vibrancy here to be able to give yourself in that way. But I feel like you have so much more energy reserves that can be dedicated to yourself. And whenever you start to turn that energy inward, you'll have even more energy to give out appropriately instead of inappropriately giving out all of your energy and then feeling drained, feeling confused, feeling disillusioned, feeling depressed, feeling burnt out, feeling as though that you don't really know what you want. You don't know who you are because you've been externalizing and projecting that energy out, projecting your creative force out to things that really don't give back to you or recharge you, whether that's people, obligations. Let's see. Mania, anxiety and nervous imaginings. Anxiety and nervous imaginings. The Roman goddess Mania is the mother of spirits, of the night who ruled the undead in the underworld. Her name means to think vigorously. So I'm getting strong Virgo energy here. Okay, yeah. Though this does not refer to simply interesting thoughts or innovative thoughts, she is the goddess of madness. Mania would send her spirits to earth to inflict insanity and to cause people to think in a state of frenzied delusion. Okay, pause. So when I think of, because I was thinking of this card as I was reading this. So she says, Mania, the book says Mania would send her spirits to earth to inflict insanity and to cause people to think in a state of frenzied delusion. When I see that baggage of that we may carry in other relationships that we have for other people, I feel this mania, this expression of mania, how she would send out spirits. Sometimes I've seen religious people call certain mental ailments spirits. So anxiety, depression, procrastination, overwhelm, confusion. And so I feel whenever we get lost in another person, again, this mirror card comes up, when we get lost in other people's obligations and other people's problems, and we don't tap in and ground into our own individuality, we then will have these manifestations of us neglecting ourselves. So this may be confused thinking and thoughts, anxiety that may have been absorbed from another person. So as I say this group may be a little bit more sensitive to their environment and easily overstimulated, and maybe not normally easily overstimulated, but because of the way that you've extended yourself, you have now become a little bit fried when it comes to social interactions or your relationship. You may just be generally overwhelmed because you are just taking on so much. And so again, I'm seeing a lot of cards of people by themselves, except for this card, but I'm seeing a lot of cards of people by themselves. This card says move back to wholeness. This card says self-examination, know thyself. So there's an emphasis to bring that light back within, to really reground, because it's causing you to kind of become disillusioned and confused. Okay, drawing this card, is a warning to cease your obsessive thinking. Sometimes we get caught up in a loop of worries, fears, and anger, but not all of our thoughts are based in reality. Do not believe everything your own mind is telling you. It is imperative now to meditate. Sanity needs to be restored. You may have reached the point where you must allow yourself plenty of space and direct yourself to be quiet, still, and calm. Okay, plenty of space. Again, an emphasis on alone time. Virgo, I mentioned Virgo. In the tarot, Virgo is represented by the Hermit card, which is a card of self-reflection, of being, having solitude, solo time, away from other people. So there's a need to recharge here. There's a need to release. There's a need to relax. There's a need to let go of the reins and trust that people will figure it out on their own. And that's how they learn anyways. Whenever I was reading that card, I was also getting an energy of somebody who's worried that if they don't take care of it, what will happen? Will it get taken care of? Can things get done without you being there? Yes, it will figure itself out. Especially when it comes to people. Now, if it's just something that you have to put down, you can always come back to it. It's not permanent. But things won't get done the best of ways if you aren't your best self. And that doesn't mean perfect, but a self that is clear, a self that is not wound up, full of nerves. So the theme here is really speaking up, setting boundaries, recharging yourself, tapping into your light, your expression, who you are, and being a little bit more selfish here. Being a little bit more selfish. Okay, group 1, that is your reading. Let me know what you think down below, and I hope to see you again soon. Okay, group 2, if you chose dream, this is your reading on your subconscious shadow side in a relationship. Okay, so I'm just gonna put all the cards out. We have Pisces in reverse. We have discernment. We have nourishment. Number 10. Number 7. Okay, we have air. Number 26. Breathing deep, entering into life. Exchange of life, bringing energies. Okay. Sage Goddess and Soul Expansion. This group feels like a group that you have a lot of very deep connections. You're just very much drawn to, like, there's a purity to this group, and maybe that can cause some lack of discernment when it comes to the best option, choosing the best option for you. I feel like you're more drawn to a feeling. Like if you get, even if it's a little bit of something from the relationship, you're like, a little bit of magnetism goes a long way with this group. Yeah, with the Pisces in reverse, there's definitely a vibe of rose-colored glasses, and just merging with the other person, so getting kind of lost in a relationship and not knowing, like, yourself from the other person. But this group also learns a lot from their relationships as well. You understand the connections between all things. So I'm seeing some of you may be not necessarily polyamorous, but pansexual. Like you just can connect with a lot of different people. Okay. Okay, another Pisces card. Okay, we'll take this, take this, well, take this. Oh my gosh, jeez. Okay, yeah, there's okay, there's definitely an imbalance in the relationships because of, again, like a lack of discernment. It's causing some turmoil, some unnecessary anxiety, and heartbreak. There's also a settling energy as well. Like maybe initially you think that things are going very good, or you get like one perception of like your relationship, or you fall hard very quickly. But then like because of your imagined idea that this could be your soulmate, or again, like this is like love at first sight type of like energy of a group. Like there's like an innocence because you're not taking your time with a person, and maybe there's this perceived idea like, oh my gosh, this person's like my other half, they nourish me in some sort of way, but because you aren't wanting to see it for what it is, you kind of find yourself like just stagnant in a relationship that you don't have to be in. And some of the time it's very toxic. There's a lot of like energy of just staying put, of just settling, of not moving on. There's this imbalance energy. You may, if you're familiar with a karmic soulmate, which is a soulmate where, or a relationship where you learn a lot of lessons, a lot of hard lessons sometimes, a lot of realizing where you have these continual cyclical patterns, where you find yourself kind of Groundhog's Day. You think you're dating a different person, but it's really very similar, or just like the last person that you were with. Say, for example, they all turn out to be narcissists, even though maybe this guy seemed different and he was sweeter, but he's the same as your last person. I don't mean to use guy, I just naturally use guy, but the person that you're with, maybe they have addictive tendencies, maybe they're very controlling or clingy, maybe they kind of squash your creativity, maybe they, I don't know, maybe they're very judgmental, maybe they're not as expansive as you are and can be, maybe they're more traditional and you're more eccentric, but you feel as though you have to mold into this person, and you stay put in this relationship for whatever reason. There's a lot of major arcana cards here, which just emphasizes to me that this is a big lesson. There's a lot of beautiful energy too. There's a lot of strength, there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of ability to be patient, to be very loving. There's an ability to see the best in another person. There's an energy here too of needing to cleanse from past relationships, past energies. So whether you go to a person to cleanse you, like Reiki energy, or you cleanse yourself if you are spiritual, I feel like this group is very strongly spiritual with this Pisces energy. So if you didn't hear in the beginning of the intro, in the intro, that's what it's called, I do have a link in the description box for anyone who isn't familiar with astrology, so you can use that resource, and if you have your time of birth, it's even more accurate. But I'm using the words energies because maybe your sun isn't in Pisces, but maybe you have a Venus in Pisces. So your love planet is in the sign of Pisces, which is just unconditionally loving. Another thing with me saying that, you make a lot of excuses. You're always giving. You're just this endless, bottomless, just sea of compassion for a person, which again, with this Justice card here, there's just this unfairness to it. And maybe there's a need to acknowledge that you do have this side of you where you're wearing rose-colored glasses. You're able to see through people to their potential, which people aren't always going to meet their potential. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But to recognize when we see the potential in someone, we're still idolizing them. We're idealizing them. There's still an idealism when we see the potential in someone. We're still not being critical and discerning, again, discerning with what is in front of us. What are they doing now? What have they been doing? Are we just enabling them to continue this behavior? So this strength, I'm seeing a Leo energy, so a lot of loyalty. I'm seeing Pisces energy here. I'm seeing Venus and Pisces, maybe Venus and Leo, or Leo energy. I'm seeing some Scorpio energy here, maybe a little bit of Cancer, so all the water signs. I don't really see much air, honestly. What's that other? Yeah, Earth. No, not really. Yeah, mostly water. And maybe a little bit of Aries. As I said Leo. Yeah, I feel a stubbornness too with like, I need to make this work because this is who I'm supposed to be with. There's no way. There's a little bit of that, but there's just this like potential that can be blocked because of your loyalty to a fault. It's stubborn. It's like, okay, we got to be real here. I know you put in a lot of investment into this person. You've poured your soul, half of your soul, a third of your soul. You pour some of your soul into this situation, this relationship, this investment. But something's got to give because you have so much to give. And if it's not given to the right resource, it's just a drain. It's just toxic. It's just enabling. It's just unfair. It's just imbalanced. It's just taking from you. So, again, I'm getting an emphasis, which maybe you were drawn to your one. For some of you, there's an emphasis of a recharge with, especially if you have a lot of water in your chart, there's a need to kind of be solo to really submerge, if you will, submerge yourself from whatever connection you've been in. And if you feel like you're having a hard time understanding what part is you and what isn't, there's a need to recharge alone, have some alone time so that you can process all of these things and understand if this is something that's for you or if it needs to be released and let go of. I just want to look at the meaning of the Sage Goddess card. I don't use this deck. I haven't used it in a while, so okay. Yep. Keywords: purification and cleansing. The ancient global practice of burning sage is not only for purifying a space or a person, but also to heighten spiritual clarity. Okay, clarity, there's a need for clarity. So I mentioned energy healing. If some of you have been really drawn to it, I definitely recommend, especially if it's been coming up. I feel like this group is very magnetic as well. So if you just put it out there, that dreamy energy, you have such a very creative, just great manifestation, like it's, I don't know, it's not a cesspool, but I'm getting a petri dish where you grow bacteria and a lot of bacteria grows. I want to use a different example that sounds more positive and not gross, but I just feel like there's magnetic energy here for this group to be able to draw in something more positive. And this may be happening because there's like an attachment to some old energies. Maybe there's an original relationship or job or family ship that has kind of built this foundation of attracting this type of treatment or people or pattern or cycle. So anyway, original point was Reiki healing, pranic healing, meditation, creativity is very cleansing as well. Drinking more water, being by the ocean, being by a body of water, stretching the body, shaking or dancing, movement of any kind. If you can't find energy practitioner, a massage. If you can find a massage healer that does energy work as well, that's awesome. Prayer, writing, singing. Yeah, any type of creation where you can express yourself, express what has happened. I wanted to say therapy, but I feel like I'm feeling drawn to say more energy work. I know there's more energy, sound healing. I know there's more ways of cleansing your energy field. Past life reading, past life healing, timeline therapy, which I just found out about, hypnotherapy. I feel like this group would do well with something that's a little bit more unorthodox as far as releasing this. Because again, I'm just remembering this also right now, is we're talking about our subconscious shadow aspects. So it may be a little bit hard to either like separate from, because if you're a strong water sign, you maybe just like your conscious and your subconscious blend so effortlessly that it's kind of hard to separate the two. Or it may be just hard to access. So I'm getting a lot of 12th house energy in the birth chart, the astrological chart. Maybe you have Pisces there. Your Venus and Pisces may be in a water house. So 8th house, 4th house, or 12th house. You may have Pisces energy there or water energy in your 8th, 12th, or 4th house. You may have a moon sign and a water sign, a Venus sign, your Venus sign may be a water sign, or you may have a really loaded 8th, 4th, or 12th house, which may mean that you need a little bit more assistance with accessing what's going on in that subconscious mind. I want to say affirmations, but I don't know if that's intrusive enough. And again, with this 9 of Swords here, we have 9 of Swords and we have 4 of Swords, which are cards talking about the mind. And so there's a need to find some stillness. So again, like meditation, to kind of tap into, if you can't find a practitioner, to tap into what's going on in that subconscious space. And because it may be causing a lot of turmoil, a lot of insomnia for some of you. Anxiety, but it's more of like a disturbance. Like, it's not like you're walking around anxious. Maybe some of you are, but it's more of like when it's time to rest, there's an inability to rest. Or even like a very chaotic like dream space too. Anyways, okay. So keywords: purification, cleansing. I'll turn it upright even though it was reverse. Okay. being outside too. I just noticed she has a lot of like the elements here. She has stars and smoke, which is air. We have fire here. I see a lot of green for earth. She has a shell with her, which is water. It looks like an abalone shell, which is what some people have used to put sage into whenever they're doing cleansings. Yeah, so any of the elements, being out around the elements too can be very cleansing. Going camping, solo trips to Mother Nature is very cleansing. Okay. The ancient global practice of burning sage is not only for purifying a space or a person, but also to heighten spiritual clarity. Emphasis on clarity. Purification, clarity. Okay. The botanical name for sage, salvia, stems from the Latin word salvare, to heal. It's a salvare, salvare, to heal, which is also the origin of the word salvation. The other qualities of sage when burned, such as giving wisdom, clarity, and increasing spiritual awareness, are also indicated in the name. It's no accident that we refer to wise people as sages. The sage goddess calls you to cleanse your sacred spaces to remove both physical and psychic toxins from your atmosphere in order to more clearly envision the transcendental experience of life. She offers the opportunity to clear out the clutter of the mind and heart, cut through the chatter of thought, and to find peace, order, and focus. Okay, so chaos has a lot to do with Pisces, especially in the lower frequencies and expressions of this sign, Pisces. So I also want to mention escapism through relationships can be a telltale sign that you're in the negative codependency, also in the negative aspects of Pisces or the water signs. So losing yourself in another person, not setting boundaries, also finding yourself repeatedly in toxic situations. And this doesn't have to be, when I say relationships, I mean generally. So do you find yourself in work situations that are just hella toxic? Do you have history of toxic friendships and you find yourself in toxic relationships? Because these patterns are going to show up in many places, if not all places in life. And you have this strong, like I said, expansive energy. You're able to, with this card here, tap into a lot of different resources, spiritually, mentally. We see this cloudiness here again with the discernment card. There's this sort of smoke and mirrors, which again, with the Pisces card, in reverse, it alludes to the more detrimental aspects of Pisces, being kind of blindsided because of your almost delusions, your disillusionment. And delusions, again, can fog up strong intuition, which Pisces is like the most intuitive sign. So maybe you have a Mercury in Pisces or Mars in Pisces. And if you don't have these placements, you may just generally be a very psychic, very intuitive person. But if you are also allowing these toxic things to be invited into your precious energy, it will easily get clouded too, which again, with water signs, they absorb their environment very easily. So maybe some of you are clairsentient, clairvoyant, just any kind of psychic abilities, but with strong sensitivity means a need and a routine, like it said in here, order. It said in the book, order. There's a need to have a routine of constant cleansing, especially if you find yourself in environments that just aren't the best. Or if you're some kind of like service industry type of person, if you're dealing with people a lot, so massage therapy, nursing, serving, hostess, what else? Hairstylist, a service-based career or job. Definitely, if you're dealing with a lot of different people that come in and out, you will need to cleanse. Cleansing is very important with this group. And alone time. That's a good way of cleansing. Alone time, maybe you're I don't know why Disney came up. I just saw Dream and I just thought of Disney. If you have like old movies that you like to watch, just tapping into that inner child space, which water signs can be quite childlike. Going to a park. I love going on swings. Going on a swing, just, I don't know what it is about the park. It may look a little crazy because I'm not a child anymore, but I love going on swings. So just simple things, painting, finger painting, simple things that will recharge you. Calling a friend that you know is a great listener, is as giving and unconditionally compassionate as you are. Going out with the girls or the guys or just your group of beings and people that nourish you. Okay, I understand now why this card is here. Even more deeply, there's a need to have more nourishing relationships and to not get caught in this cyclical karmic wheel of never learning your lessons, of constantly having to learn the same lesson over and over when it comes to overgiving, not setting boundaries, of not using your discernment, of not kind of like, because there's nothing wrong with sensing the good in people, but, and I understand this, sometimes it takes taking your time. And it's okay if it takes us a little bit more time, but taking your time before going into a situation to know if it's going to be like this or if it's going to be like this. Because you got a lot of beautiful energy, a lot of just sweet, such sweet energy, okay? So sweet. But you gotta be mean sometimes. It's fine. Like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, no, that's not cool. No, I'm tired. I don't want to go out. No, that's not happening. I don't know why that's so funny. Anyways, group 2, that is your reading. Let me know what you think down below. And I hope to see y'all again soon. Okay, group 3, if you chose the depth card, this is your reading about your subconscious shadow side in relationships. So I normally don't put the cards out, but I want to try it because I want to get all the information out. Sometimes I can ramble, so if I see all the cards now, I maybe more easily be able to get all of what I'm interpreting out. Okay. And then I'm going to draw some tarot cards as well. Depth. We have Libra in reverse. Fear. Pleasure. Letting go. So we have number 18, 11, 27. Allowing a higher force to take charge for a time. Mind Garden. I will read what that is about. It's very beautiful. I just kind of want to... Such a pretty card. Mind Garden. And Lord Shiva, Transcendence. Rise up, honor your inner force. Steps are being given. Dance with the universe. Beautiful. Okay. This group feels like they have an intimacy problem. Maybe not with like messing around, but with like opening up. There's a feeling of like, yeah, commitment issues from a past, because of a past relationship. Feeling like you'll be judged unfairly. Maybe even this group has like a different way of expressing themselves in a relationship, or they're just like quirky and they're just like not wanting to get close to people. I'm also getting like a poly vibe, a vibe of like polyamory, or some kind of eccentric way of like, maybe you have I don't know how old the people are here who are watching this, but this group may have like a quirk or a kink. Maybe you have a unique way of, maybe even asexual. Maybe there's a unique way of pleasurable expression. Okay. Group three. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Three. I feel like there's a lot of sides to you here that people don't get a chance to see. You see all the faces? It's like I'm getting a strong Gemini energy. Obviously there's Libra energy here, but there's almost like putting on a face. And there's a bunch of other faces behind it. Gosh, this card keeps coming out. Okay, clarify. Okay, clarify. There's something intimidating about this group as well. Like, you're not very open, to be honest. And, okay, I'll just do lovers in reverse. You're not very open, it seems. And maybe there's just like almost like a blockade when it comes to like getting to know you, getting close to you. You're a lot of fun. You're a little unpredictable, maybe a little harsh and blunt. You like to be alone, but you don't like to be alone. With this Hermit card in reverse, I'm almost getting like, you like being single, you like having a lot of options. Maybe you're more non-committal, but maybe you don't necessarily like being like by yourself in a room or something like that. This group feels like highly social, very touch and go type of interaction. Like you get deep enough, but not super deep. And it's, with this adrift, letting go, allow a higher force to take charge for a time. It's like a sense of control that you have by being a touch and go type of person. I don't know why I got a BDSM, specifically a masochist. And that's really random. The masochists in BDSM relationships are usually the one in control. They tell the sadists what to do. So that came to mind with this pleasure card. I keep thinking of kinks. It's very interesting. Restrainee. Also, this is a very quirky, like very experimental group for sure. Venus in Gemini or Libra. I have a link in the description box if you're curious about your astrology chart. I don't know why I blanked for a second. Yeah, I keep thinking of, I never really get like 18 plus messages and the other ones aren't, which is so funny. I'm just realizing this is an 18 card. 18 plus messages. And I normally don't get that message from this card ever, but that's coming up. But I'm getting the restrainee from this because of almost like a wanting to release control sort of vibe. Like I feel like that's maybe why some people like that type of practice, sensual practice. And Lord Shiva, I think, has to do with Tantra also. So there's like a strong, like, creative sexual energy with this group. So there might be a lot to give. Definitely non-committal energy, but this fear. It's interesting. It's this fear. And I mean, not everybody who's non-committal is doing it out of fear of getting hurt or out of fear of, but there's definitely a lack of depth that this group, it's that you're blocking yourself from. So maybe right now you're just delving into different types of pleasure and relationships, again, like a non-committal energy, a very like strong about your boundaries, very expressive energy, but not necessarily too emotional. Like the way you express your emotions is very cut and dry. And there's a lot of strong masculine energy too. A lot of just like free-spirited, selfish, not in a negative way, not necessarily, it could be borderline, but I'm getting Sag energy too, Sagittarius energy, Gemini energy, Libra energy. Yeah, there's like this sort of like F it sort of energy, like a little reckless, but it's coming from a place of just, it really feels like coming out of some kind of long-term situation, or even like feeling bound. Again, we have fear, like there's some like a depiction of feeling bound and caged in for so long, whether it was a relationship or you were sheltered or something like that, and you're just wanting to experience it all, and you find yourself in these kind of like situations where it's like, whoa, how did I get here? And some of them may be fun, but some of them may be a little bit reckless. And again, I was saying earlier, there's like I want to be single, but I don't want to be alone necessarily. Transcendence under fear. The only thing that I'm getting from this transcendence card and also the adrift card is understanding where this wildness and the boundaries aren't bad. I'm trying to see a way of wording it. If there's like a cutthroat energy or a very harshness to the way that you're going about things, trying to understand like where it's coming from. If it's a sense of control out of fear, if there's a need to transcend this fear and come at this new approach to relationships from a pure way instead of from a just like maybe hedonistic, maybe fear-based way. If you can use that creative sexual energy in a positive way and not a very sporadic and reckless way, if it can be more focused and intentional. There's a need for depth, if not with another person, with yourself. And as I say that, I'm looking at this person inside, this person who doesn't seem scared, you know. And again, I was saying like that like kind of masculine, very strong, very like almost brute energy of like, I don't need anyone, I'm single, but then also being afraid of sitting with yourself. And it's like there's this scared person inside who you can't really see on the outside. but there's a need for understanding yourself a little bit more deeply and where these desires are coming from, and if they're authentic or if they're a facade. If it's like this person who is seemingly strong, but it's can appear to be a mask for a scared person inside who needs some attention. Mind garden. Okay, interesting. Personal empowerment and conscientiousness. Oh, okay. I'm thinking of this article that my friend read to me and also sent me of the imbalances of yin and yang energy. And she was saying how triggering it was. For me, it was very freeing. But I'm being reminded of how he was saying that the societal feminine now is being portrayed as free-spirited, free love, posting nudes on your social media, feeling as though like being more, I don't want to offend anyone, but more promiscuous or more sexually free is the woman's way of expressing their power, and it's more of a yang energy than a yin energy. And maybe I'm bringing this up because there's a need to balance the masculine with the feminine. So this seems like a naturally feminine spirit that's leaned more into the masculine because maybe you've just gotten tired of the softness. You're wanting to kind of almost like tipping the scales to then rebalance. And again, like I say that now and I'm seeing the Libra, the scales in reverse. So that may be something that's relatable here. There's a subconscious imbalance of the masculine and feminine energy, and possibly because being soft has gotten you hurt. Being soft has put you in a place where you've lost control. So now there's a need to bring back control by not going too deep with anyone, not being empathetic or sympathetic, being more logical and clear-cut and being like, oh, I just, I thought of Doja Cat earlier when I saw the Libra and the pleasure card. I thought of Doja Cat, but what he was saying was, and that's kind of what I'm getting to here, is like someone who is misinterpreting the energies, thinking that putting yourself out there in that way is powerful, when there's another expression of power, and when it may in fact be more of a detriment than a gain. And everything is meant to be experienced for us to learn these things, but it's just an idea. It's just something that came up to my mind. So there may be some sort of imbalance that you're trying to overcompensate with a more masculine approach. And I mean, it's hard not to get into that fad. I don't know if it would be a fad or just trend, because so many people are doing it, especially if you follow a lot of spiritual women. They're very much interpretation of what freedom is for a woman is portrayed as somebody who, kind of shows themselves off and says they're powerful and they don't need attention, but at the same time they're doing things that gives them attention subconsciously, externally feeding off of like the attention of others by dressing a certain way or posting certain things, even though it's at the same time consciously you're trying to portray a sense of strength. As an example, I hope that's not confusing. What I might do is post the article for some of you to read if you're interested in it, because it explains it a lot better. I'm posting it because it came up, not because I'm picking any kind of side, but maybe it might bring up some things for you subconsciously. It might trigger you, which being triggered isn't a bad thing. So if I'm sure when I edit it, I'll still remember to put that in the notes for y'all. Okay. Personal empowerment and conscientiousness. The image of this card symbolizes how the mind is similar to a garden, in that all thoughts are seeds. If the thoughts are beautiful and positive, the fruit produced will be nourishing and delightful. When dark and negative thoughts are allowed to dominate the mind, they can be likened to weeds crowding out your healthy thoughts, and they will produce foul fruit. Drawing this card reminds you to pay close attention to what seeds of thought you are planting and allowing to flourish in your mind garden. Recurring negative weeds, thoughts, should be recognized and pulled so they do not choke out your benevolent thoughts that bear life-giving fruits. Conscientiousness and careful tending are required. Oh, it's such a beautiful card. I think it kind of like lifted it as I was talking. But yes, conscientiousness. There's one thing if you're consciously, and being conscious is simultaneously being aware of what's coming from your subconscious, what you may be unconsciously doing. So conscientiousness is being aware of all parts of your behavior and where it's coming from and why you're doing it. And if it's coming from a purity, as in you're doing it because you want to, not because you see other people doing it, not because it's portrayed in social media that this is strong and this is powerful, more powerful than being your true self, which may not want to do these things or may want to be doing these things, you know? So being aware of, it's just interesting because we have all these other cards that are perceivably bright and positive, but then there's just this fear card. It's like, hey, it keeps calling me back. It's almost like there's a part of yourself, like I said, this is a reading of your subconscious mind, your shadow self, so you may not always be aware of it. But it's like there's this part of yourself, it's like the darkest card of the spread here that's calling you back within. And we have the Hermit card in reverse, which is a card of looking within, but it's like a resistance to that. A resistance to how you view relationships, how you view your choices, understanding why you're making these choices, if it's coming from a conscious or a subconscious, unconscious place. There's a need to refresh your idea of what masculinity is, and not us by gender, but by how it's expressed, what you perceive to be your idea of what is masculine versus feminine energy, and what you feel that you can carry and how you can balance those things out. And being honest with yourself, it doesn't have to be a very orthodox, traditional perception of what is masculine, what is feminine. Again, I'll put that link there, but don't be muddled and blurred by the thoughts of and the ideas of that article either. I want to emphasize that as well. But yeah, what your idea of strength is and what your idea of weakness is and why that is. So again, I'm coming up with these journal prompts or questions that again kind of stimulate you to tap into this space, this subconscious darker space, and to inquire. And again, transcend. It says rise up. Honor your inner force. Steps are being given. Dance with the universe. Rise up. So when I see that transcend and rise up, I'm thinking of having a higher perspective of where all of this is coming from, of why maybe you have non-committal tendencies all of a sudden, why you are saying F this group, F that group, they ain't worth, they ain't shit, they don't have anything to provide for me. Like, if there's any bitterness, if there's any like abrasiveness, like overly emphasizing, that's not the right word, but overly expressing your boundaries. Like, instead of being like, hey, don't do that, like, you're like, F you, get the, you know, like Like you just flash out. Like different, these are examples, but different situations like that. And if there is admittedly a part of you that is trying to control a situation through protecting yourself in some sort of way, by this current behavior that you're exercising in your relationships. Oh, and also if you're the type of person, I'm seeing the pleasure card differently now. It's because it's weird how the cards kind of transform as I say other things, but like, are you the type of person who is, what do they call it? If you love immediate pleasures, if you're the type of person who wants a quick, there's a phrase for it, but I can't think of it. If you're a type of person who loves instant gratification, if you find yourself addicted to instant gratification, if that's the type of person that you may be, and why that is, the quick pleasures, where is that coming from? Because again, like I'm looking back at the depth card, instant gratification isn't deep. It's awesome, you know, you finish, but then after you finish, it's over. And then you're just like, wow, I don't even like this person, or wow, that wasn't even that great. I just had an itch to scratch. Like, what is this itch that you need to scratch so badly? Where is it coming from? Okay, group 3, that is your reading. Let me know what you think down below, and I hope to see y'all again soon.